Hey all, this is Martin from howtomakemobilegames.com. Today is January the 6th now, I think, 2015. Kind of early in the morning here, it's actually 2:30 a.m. Tuesday early morning, but this is pretty normal for me. Past few days it's been 5 a.m., 6 a.m. that I've gone to sleep, mainly because the internet here has been so bad through the daytime that I've needed to sort of stay awake at night and do work that way. It's a bit of a pain. I need to get some more normal, regular hours. But hey, it's okay. If the internet's smooth at night, then that's when I'll be working. Anyway, this video is about the goals for Cobalt Play for 2015. I did a video last year, 2014, the goals for 2014, and I think some of those goals were hiring new developers and also delegating work as well and expanding. So that was a big step in 2014, really, for Cobalt Play. Before that time, I was sort of a one-man team and pretty much doing everything on my own. But 2014 changed, and that was a big, what's the word I'm looking for? A big, I can't think of a good word right now, but a big change in the business where I went from just being an individual developer and just trying to build as many games as possible to actually setting up a business. If I remember a quote from someone, I can't remember where it came from now, but he said that if you build a company and you are the company, you've not built a business for yourself, you've built a job for yourself. You need to build a team and a business system in order to actually build a business. And the idea being that even if you're not there, the business should be able to continue on its own, because just relying on one person is not a business. So we've started to sort of do that in 2014, so 2015 is here. So what are the next steps? I'm going to go down my list here and make this kind of brief. I don't want to make this a huge video. And I'll just talk about these points. So the first one is the goal is to make $1,000 every day, gross revenue. That is revenue from all channels as well. So that's ad revenue, in-app purchase revenue, any other revenue across all of the app stores, not including anything else, just the games that we publish. That's all, not anything to do with like the YouTube channel, the forum, or anything like that. So $1,000 gross revenue. Obviously, that's not calculating things like, you know, salaries and ad costs and buying equipment and all that stuff. That's just the gross revenue target. So that's a pretty clear number, and I think it's achievable based on the games that we're starting to make now and the improvement of the games as well. So I think we can do that. Even though competition is getting harder and harder and it's getting tougher and tougher, I think we're really going in the right direction recently, building up bigger games, better games, and also cross-promoting them with smaller games. Second point, build a clear business system we know works and makes a positive ROI. So I've said it many times in the video, guys, gone are the days where you can just make small games. I don't think it's a good business anymore where you make a single player game, a single screen game, and you just pump out as many as possible. One, there's no real passion for it, and two, it doesn't build up any long-term franchise or IP, intellectual property. You know, for example, like SimCity. I saw the game SimCity today on the iOS App Store. SimCity is a great example of a game that is awesome. It's a great game, and it's got a long history and a lot of committed players who know the game. They remember the title, they love it, and they'll probably play it for years and years, so long as the new versions that come out are just as good or just as innovative as the original, or if they add cool things. So with making small games, we can't achieve that. It's just quick things that we push out just to make some revenue and cash flow. But to grow, we've got to change into making bigger, cooler, awesome games that people love, people remember, and people share with their friends. So definitely we need a business system. To be clear, we've already started that, but it needs to be clear. So I said here, focus on building bigger games which are updated regularly and quickly to get cash flow. So we build big games, yes, but we need to release the game fast. We release the game with, say, World 1 and World 2. And that can be finished in a couple of weeks, and we release it. Then we add World 3 and we release it a few days later. World 4, release it. So it's not going to be It's not the business model where it's like 6 months to build a game, 7 months to build a game. No, these are got to be released fast for cash flow because we're still a small business. So maybe that'll change later. Maybe we can focus 6 months on a game once we really know what can make money in the market. But right now, the business model has to be a little bit cash flow oriented. So next point, making smaller games to cross promote the bigger games. So what we've done in the past couple of weeks is we've released 2 smaller games, and those games are cross promoting our big games, and we're going to continue to do that from now on in 2015 and continue to track the downloads that come from the smaller games. Extremely important, guys. Not only do we need like a game building business model, but we also need a marketing business model as well. That's extremely important, and tracking is like a key to that. If we don't track and understand where downloads are coming from, where revenue is coming from, which app stores are good, which app stores are not as good, then it's not something that we can repeat. We can't repeat the success. So not only a game building business model, but also a clear marketing business model as well, and also a distribution model. Next point, so start to hire developers based in the same location, wherever that may be. So at the moment we've got a pretty good model, because what we're doing is we're working with developers in different countries, and they're working at home and building their games and their artwork and finishing a game from start to finish, all on their own, and then they communicate with me through email or Skype, and that's a good model. That's great. But I think eventually what we're going to have to do is start to hire some staff in the same location wherever I may be, or maybe 2 guys or 3 guys in the same location wherever they may be. This increases the communication, it increases the efficiency of the business as well. But obviously there's a lot of considerations in that. There's things like obviously hiring an office, buying PCs or Macs, insurance, local laws and taxes and so on. It's a big thing. But the small step to that would be just simply, hey, I work in my home, and I'm going to have like this room as the office, and have 4 or 5 developers just sit there with me. Where that's going to be in the world, I don't know right now. In China, it's kind of getting a little bit more expensive, and the English ability isn't good, but it might be good because China's a huge market, and having Chinese developers means that publishing in China becomes easier. But it might not be Shanghai, but we'll see about that anyway. Let me just paste these points here, because that leads me on to this next point. So getting investment from a venture capital firm, what would we need the money for, and what would be the benefit? So I've thought about this a lot, and I have talked about it in some previous videos, and I read about this all the time. It's like, oh, they got a Series A funding, a Series B funding. I'm like, okay, so that company seems to grow by getting investment capital and then going public and then selling it. And I read about this all the time, and I've always been kind of resistant to investment, but I need to look into this more, I think, because obviously getting investment doesn't just increase the money where you can hire more people and grow an office and so on, but it also gives you, depending on the investor, they could be a strategic investor. They could help you with distribution into different markets. They could have, for example, let's say like DNA invests in your studio. DNA is the, or Gree, I think it is, they're one of the biggest publishers or app stores in Japan, I think. One of the two anyway. But they, if they invest in you, then they're going to have like a very vested interest in getting your game into the Japanese market and having it make money, because they've directly invested in the company. And even big studios do that now. Like I think Supercell last year got a huge investment from, I think it was Gree, perhaps. So I need to look into that more. I need to start talking to investors more. And so if there's any investors out there who are looking to invest in smaller studios, smaller businesses, then feel free to contact me either through the forum or on YouTube, or you can drop me an email at martin@cobaltplay.com, because that's something I need to start to discuss and figure out, like what can investors do for us aside from the money, and what do they want from us. So That is something I really need to figure out. The other thing is as well, because at the moment we're a distributed team and we're only four guys at the moment. How would that work? Are they interested in investing in a distributed team? Yes or no? So that's something I definitely need to figure out for 2015 and spend some time to kind of understand, like the world of investing. So, and that's a bigger business goal for me as well. In fact, that reminds me, guys. Sorry, just continue investing. I forgot to write that point down before, but it just clicked, and now I can. Now I'll mention it in a minute. Of course, the team getting a higher bonus payout. All the guys that are working at the moment with Cobalt Play, I want to get their bonuses very high for sure, because if they get a great bonus, then it means that Cobalt Play is doing good, and it obviously means that they're building great games and we're improving, and it keeps. Hopefully, the team will stay with us for a long, long time. So definitely, not just building that $1,000 a day gross revenue. That's also the team making more revenue as well and more bonus. So definitely, I want to make that happen over this 2015 and give the guys a great salary and myself as well, of course. So next point, get further distribution around the world by focusing on other app stores, by working with region-specific publishers. So not just relying on Google Play, iOS, and Amazon, as always. Those are the three main Western app stores that all Western developers seem to focus on. There's probably other big opportunities out there that we're not looking at. We've recently started to publish our Android games more onto other app stores like Samsung, Vodafone, Mob and Go, GetJar, and the other app stores. But we really need to figure out, for example, like how do we publish in Korea? How do we publish in Japan better? How do we publish in, let's say, Africa or South America? We also need to find publishers in those specific regions, like India. India is a massive market. It's not a gaming market, but it's a huge population. So do we need to start to update the games with localized language, localized text, and find specific publishers for those regions to help us? Now, I think we need cool games before we kind of do that. So Sniper XXX is growing, Placate is growing, and U-Escape Sometimes 2 is also starting to grow. So those are the types of games that probably larger publishers would be interested in. And we can work with them directly to publish in specific regions. So definitely not just the three app stores, because as we've said many times, and I've spoken to loads of people on the forum and on the channel, is Google Play. If they cancel your account, then and you're very reliant on Google Play, for example, or iOS or Amazon, then it's game over. Really, we need to be in the position where we're not relying just on one app store or just on one game or just one channel. Really needs to be spread out, guys, just as a basic business risk mitigation. We need to do that for sure. And as the games get bigger, we can start to have those conversations with publishers. So next point, hire more staff, of course, yes, and delegate more tasks. I definitely, 2015, I want us to hire more staff for sure. Hopefully staff that are located next to me, or, I'm also open to staff for, in different countries. That's cool. There's no reason why that couldn't continue. It's going really good. And the guys are doing a great job. So thank you guys again. We had an awesome team call yesterday, by the way, for the first time. It was amazing. It was very, very cool. We had the four developers, so me, Nick, Ryan, and Aladdin. Unfortunately, our marketing guy Naeem couldn't join us, but it was great to have like four guys, developers, on a call together, just talking about what we're working on, and it was really cool. Anyway, so it was like a monumental point in Cobalt Play to do that. But hire more staff anyway. So I need to delegate more as well in 2015. If we do hire more staff, or when we hire more staff, it has to be the testing tasks have to be delegated. Right now, I'm doing a lot of testing. It takes up a lot of my time, doing feedback and speaking to the guys. But I need to be in a position where if we hire, say, 10 staff, how can we do it so that it doesn't all rely upon me to test and publish and give feedback and all of this? Because it just becomes a huge bottleneck if I do that. So So next point. Hey baby. So spread out risk by making enough revenue from one game to cover the entire business year. Yeah, so I think this point here, like spread out risk by making enough revenue from one game to cover the entire business. I pretty much what I mentioned before about baby, don't do that. Pretty much what I said before about spreading the risk and getting onto more app stores is just not relying on one game, but making sure that the business can also have like good revenue from like many stores, so that if say all of them, half of them go down, we're not going to die. Or if we've got such awesome games that if one day they were cancelled, then it wouldn't matter so much because we could republish it on a different app store and it would make a great ARPU, average revenue per user, and we wouldn't worry about it so much. Or it's such a strong IP, a strong franchise, that people would be like, hey, where's Sniper XXX? I can't find it. And then as soon as we republish it, they'll be like, oh, hey, great, there it is. Or we can speak directly with the users, like a huge base of users, and say to them directly, hey, you can download it from here. So I want to get into that position where we don't have to worry so much about accounts being cancelled. There's no reason why it would be right now, but you never know. The rules can change and it can cause a lot of problems. So it's happened for a lot of developers before, so we need to be careful. Anyway, last couple of points. Some personal goals for 2015. Buy a house. I need to buy a house, absolutely. I've been renting here in China for 8 years, and 3 years before that I have been paying for rent in university, which was fine, and where we are now in China, we're not paying massive rent because we're not in Shanghai anymore. But I need to buy a house. I'm tired of paying rent to pay somebody else who then owns the house, and I never own the house. It's just driving me crazy. So we need to buy a house. Maybe in China there will be a house market crash, maybe, because I've read a few articles about it, and because of the continuing increasing in house prices going through the roof, it can't sustain that way, and I think there might be a bubble in China, at which point I might be able to buy a house. So that's what I want to do in 2015. That's a big, big goal. Continue meditating every day. I think since I did a section on meditation in the forum, I mentioned I was going to do 30 minutes of meditation every day, and I've managed to keep that goal so far. I'm very happy that I've done that, because meditating and sitting there for 30 minutes and just thinking about nothing, it takes a little bit of practice, and you have to be strict on yourself to do it. But I've started to create the habit now, and when you create a habit, it's not hard. You know what I mean? In the beginning, you have to push yourself, but it's like working on a business. Now working every single day for hours and hours and hours every day is not a big problem for me anymore, because I've created the habit to do that. And same for meditation. So number 3, get clear skin. It's looking a little bit better. You guys might have noticed, thank God. Oh my God. The videos back in 2012, 2013 and 2014, I look like just a pizza. I look horrible, and thank God it's finally clearing up now. It could, a part of it could be because of the meditation and every day, and it's calming me down. It's allowing my body to repair itself. But part of it, probably most of it, is because I bought this cream called Quinoderm, and it's got benzoyl peroxide in it, and so my skin is looking a lot better now, and I apply that every day. So thank God. Oh my God. I actually can go out now without wearing a hat, because a hat casts a shadow over your face, and you can sort of hide it a little bit. But I go out now without wearing a hat, and I feel okay, and people are not sort of pointing at me and staring. Thank God. Wow. I still don't eat any dairy at the moment, because if I eat dairy, it just flares up again. Still, it's still a little bit red, like at the top here, on the side here where this mole is. So, but yeah, it's getting there at last, thank God. So that was actually a goal as well for 2014, was to get clear skin. So it's slowly getting there. And the last point, continue investing. So again, a personal goal, but what I've started to do is put a little bit of money every single month into an index tracking fund through my bank. What that is, it's like a mutual fund, but it's not actively managed by a fund manager. So there's not an expensive guy there choosing the stocks to pick in the fund. What it is, it just buys a bit of every single fund, every single stock in an index. So for example, you've got the S&P 500, which is the top 500 companies in the New York Stock Exchange, I think. And what this fund will do is it will just automatically buy a little bit of every single company. Also overseas as well. It's not just American, it's not just UK, it's worldwide. It'll buy some in the Japanese, is it the Nikkei index or something? In Hong Kong. It'll also do everywhere worldwide. The one that I've started with is called the Vanguard Life Strategy. So we'll see how it goes. It's very early days. I'll do a separate video on that. I've only just started, and so the percentages are actually, they've dropped a few percent at the moment. But it's a long-term strategy. It's a life strategy. It's not an immediate get-rich-quick thing at all. It's sort of 20, 30, 40 years later where I can sort of retire very comfortably and not worry about, income from a job or a business or anything, but or family or anything like that. It's just, money that's going to come automatically and compound over time. I'll do a separate video on that soon anyway, guys, but I'm going to continue it in 2015 for sure. Anyway, guys, that's it for the video. Thank you for all the support in 2014. Thank you for all the likes and subscribes and comments and messages. I do read them all. Thank you so much. If you like these videos, guys, please hit the subscribe button down there in the video. That helps support me and the channel so much. Thank you. So please subscribe, guys. It helps a lot. And then also you can join me on the forum as well, because I'll post this video here. It's in the background, howtomakemobilegames.com. I'm not replying to comments on YouTube right now just because of time, but I am responding a lot more on the channel, on the forum, howtomakemobilegames.com. I reply to questions, and you guys can give me questions or comments or whatever. And it's in Martin's Dev and blog section at the top there. There's also a Developer Diaries blog section, so if you want to post about your game and tell us some stats and get some review exchanges or just generate some interest in your game, then definitely check it out and post in there, guys. But yeah, please subscribe. Thank you so much, guys. Have an awesome 2015, and I'm going to speak to everyone real soon. Bye-bye.